This is For Women Wednesday. I'm your host, Freddie G, joined by my co-host, K Money, Slash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast. On Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe. And welcome to another Women Wednesday. Okay, fellas, as we know, in this country, women have fought hard to get to where they are today. Now, in most cases, women have been treated unfairly, and we can trace this unfair treatment all the way back for centuries. Now, before we dive into today's discussion, I'm going to share some important facts about women in this country. Not just black women, but all women. So, this is not about race. It's about gender. With that being said, I'm going to share these interesting facts. So, did y'all know in 1769, it was declared that women could not own property in their name or keep their own earnings?
I never knew that. You said 1769?
Yeah, 1769.
Oh, nah, I didn't know that.
Okay. Now, in 1839, Mississippi granted women the right to own property in their name with the permission from their husband. In 1873, the Supreme Court ruled that states had the right to exclude married women from practicing law.
Damn.
In 1900, every state passed legislation granting married women the right to keep their own wages and own property in their name. So from 1769 all the way down to the 1900s is when they actually made a change for them. A small change, but it was a change.
So, question for G.
Go ahead.
What happened to the wages that they would earn prior to them being allowed to keep them?
Yeah.
Well, I would assume that they was giving it to their husband.
So, what if they weren't married?
Yeah. What if they weren't married?
That's a good question.
That's crazy.
That's a good question.
Sounds like the old way of pimping.
Government pimping.
Yeah.
So,
Trump
or they were working for free?
Apparently, if they weren't allowed to keep their wages, that's what it sounded like. But I like Slash's version, old school pimping.
Man, that's some pimping.
Was Trump president back then? I was asking.
Okay, so in 1920, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution was rectified, assuring women the right to vote. Now, before we go any further, this didn't include black women. Y'all know that, right?
Wow.
Because we didn't have the right to vote.
Didn't have the right to vote at all. Yeah.
So in 1920, white women, they got their right to vote. So moving on. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act was passed by Congress, promising equal wages for the same work, regardless of race, color, religion, national origin, or sex of the worker.
Now, before you go, I want to say something right there. You said equal wages. But for some reason, there are women that make less doing the same job that a man does right now today. So that's kind of, strange that they say that.
Well, the law was passed, but it's not like they were actually giving it to them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, it wasn't enforced.
Yeah.
So, in 1964, Title VII of the Civil Rights was passed, prohibiting sex discrimination in employment, and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission was created. In 1968, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed an executive order prohibiting sex discrimination by government contractors and requiring affirmative action plan for hiring women. So this was done in 1968, where they tried to put in affirmative action.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1973, the Supreme Court ruled on Roe versus Wade, making abortion legal. So this was in 1973.
Wow.
In 1975, the Supreme Court denied. In 1975, the Supreme Court denied states the right to exclude women from jurors. So, bottom line, it sounds like they didn't want the government, well, the states, they didn't want women to be a part of the jury.
Right.
But the Supreme Court said, no, they can be a part of the jury duty, to do jury duty. So, okay, moving on. In 1978, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act banned employment discrimination against pregnant women. In 2013, the ban against women in military combat was removed, overturning the 1994 Pentagon decision restricting women from combat roles. That you guys should be familiar with that.
Yeah. What year was that?
This was in 2013.
2013. That was recent.
Wow. So
At 1994 one, though, I thought it was actually in place before 94.
no, it said it was overturned. The 94 Pentagon decision.
It overturned the Pentagon?
Yeah, the 2013
The
overturned.
2013, Yeah.
The
The 1994.
decision.
So women couldn't go into combat.
Yeah, I was thought that was in place before 94, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, according to this.
Well, it makes sense because think about it. When we were in, when we were in the military, in the Navy, none of the ships were.
Yeah, the ship I
Co-ed.
was on was a tender.
It was a tender,
But
but
we wouldn't, for that reason, is why I thought we were on the outside.
Right.
You know, we wouldn't be in the midst of battle. Or anything
There was
like that.
no women on aircraft carriers.
aircraft
our
carriers, on any ships.
We didn't have no women on
No, it was
our
on
ships.
ships, destroyer tenders.
That was on the tenders.
just the tenders.
Tenders and the hospital ships.
Yeah, the hospital ships. If you think about it, those are assistant ships and
Right.
and the tugboats. So those are assistant ships. So they assist, but they're not going to go into battle.
Right. And I'm thinking that law was in place because that was
right, because now if you think about it, all ships have women on them. Every ship. So I'm like, God, why can I have been in when?
So this was in 20. This is in 2013. Okay, so 2020, Kamala Harris became the first woman elected as vice president. In 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Now, y'all know the Roe versus Wade was put into place in 1973.
73.
Yeah.
And then what's
overturned in 2022.
50 years later.
49.
Okay. And in 2023, last year, there was a record number of women in Congress with 128 female House members and 25 senators. So, based upon that timeline that I just gave, right, we can see that women have come a long way.
Yeah,
They
And again, this is not just about race.
Right.
It's about gender.
gender.
And women have come a long way. So after hearing that, fellas, do y'all believe that women should be treated equally across the board? Or should we, as men, pick and choose when we should treat them equally?
No, I think they should be treated equally, man.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
it's been proven that they've shown that they can do the same job as a man, if not better.
Right.
So they deserve to be compensated equally, in my
Are
opinion.
you saying every job, sir?
If they're able to do the
if they're
same
able to do
job
it,
that a man can
yeah,
do,
I think they should be
why should they
compensated.
not be
Oh yeah,
compensated?
yeah. If they're able
Fair.
to do
No,
it,
y'all just unconsciously broke it down to compensating.
I did.
said treated equally across the board, or should we pick and choose when to treat them equally? Not just job wise.
we can't pick and choose.
Not just job wise,
But
not
life,
just
just
compensation.
period.
Just
Life,
period.
Equal is equal. There's no pick
I'm
and
glad
choose.
you said. You said that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So throw out another scenario.
Okay, let me give you
to
a
where we can
scenario.
exclude compensation because
no,
most of the time,
I'm not saying we can bring compensation in, but what I'm trying to get y'all to think about is don't just narrow it down to jobs.
compensation, yeah.
Don't just narrow it down to compensation and money. We're talking about equal. Period. So here's an example. K Money. work with me here. If I was to walk up and slap the shit out of you, what you would do to me? You slap the shit out of me back.
Yeah.
Now, if a woman would come up and slap the shit out of you,
My reflexes.
you should, according to the people,
Equalize.
you should pick and choose when to treat her equally in that moment.
She gonna be equally. She gonna be.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Some people will say there's never an excuse
To hit
a woman.
Right.
So those people are picking and choosing
Right.
when to treat them equally.
Right. I get it.
So,
I get it.
so should we, again, when I say across the board, should we treat them equally across the board, or should we pick and choose when to treat them equally? Because after me giving that whole timeline, they've come a long way. Women in this country have come a long way. But we talked about rights and everything, but we're talking across the board in every single thing.
Man,
That's gonna be hard.
I'm gonna stick to my guns, man. I think they should be treated equally. Period. And even in the scenario that you brought to K Money, if she walks up and slap the shit out of somebody, then somebody should slap the shit out of her.
I gotta ask a question.
Go ahead.
And even in competition, track and field, football, basketball.
Here's the thing.
You said equally.
Yeah, I did. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, we know
Yeah.
that in situations like that, we know that they can create a separate playing field for them.
Right.
I'm going to dive deeper into that.
Okay.
We know that they can create a separate playing field for basketball and women and then men, right?
Right.
But so they're treated equally because they got a place to play, whereas before they didn't have a place to play.
Right.
So that's the equal treatment in that aspect. Now here's where it's not equal. The basketball size is smaller.
Exactly.
So should they have the same basketball size? I ain't saying playing with the men.
Yes, they
but
should.
Should they have the same basketball size?
Yeah, I'd agree they should.
Now, we know that for the most part, why they probably got a smaller basketball is because they probably consider smaller hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But so when you're creating this playing field for them, should they be treated equal? Here's another one. When we were in the military, there was a certain amount of push-ups we as men were required to do.
Right.
If you didn't do those push-ups, you couldn't pass.
You can pass.
And you got to do them in a certain amount of minutes.
See, that's why I kind of straddle the fence on equality with females because, of course, they're not built. Some are, but majority are not built. Your average woman is not built like your average man.
Right.
So I wouldn't expect them to perform anything strenuous as a man would. So
then you just
So now that goes against
what you just said.
I kind of straddle the fence with this one.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But see, and now tied into these milestones that they were able to achieve throughout history, where they have equal pay for equal work. If we're lifting sandbags and this sandbag is 50 pounds, and I'm going to pay you $30 to take this for every sandbag to pick it up and take it 20 yards down this way. And for every sandbag, I'm going to pay you $30. But the sandbag is 50 pounds. Now we have a woman that comes to do the job. Should we lower the pounds in the weight of the sandbag?
No, we shouldn't.
No.
And for her to pack it the same amount of yards.
She asked for equal rights.
Yeah.
You got it.
And equal pay.
Right.
You
If she's
actually
qualified
right.
to
Yeah.
do the job, but if she's not qualified to do it, then she shouldn't be doing it, period.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's where we talked about, you gave your example
Right.
of the push-ups and the statue and all of that. So again, we're picking and choosing when
see
to
that.
treat them equally.
Right. Exactly. And I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. It's a slippery slope because in some instances, when you work in the office, you do this in the office, you do this in the office. This guy get that money, you get that money, or not just money, just anything. This privilege, then it's equal. But then we go outside and we do some construction, and like you said, a 50-pound sandbag, and I can do 10 of them and put them over there in 15 minutes. But you can do one, and then you be like, oh no, now. I'm looking at her like you just said y'all want equal rights. You just said that.
Now let me show you something. There are some men that's not going to be able to do.
Oh yeah, that is. I mean, but that's the.
So yeah, in that sense, they should be equal.
Yeah,
to that.
Equal to that. Yeah.
If you can do the job, do the job. If not, don't try it.
Don't try it. Exactly.
And in a lot of places, there are some warehouses that require you to have to be able to lift 50 pounds in order for them to hire you.
Yep.
And if you can't lift 50 pounds, they ask that question. They specifically asking these questions like these warehouse places,
I've seen them on applications.
But you got women that work there, and they responsible for picking up 50 pounds.
They may not have done it yet. But
they may not have done it.
Yep.
And they can get help when they need. Yep. But those people are saying you must be able to lift 50 pounds in any warehouse, I think.
Yep.
Again, I'm still straddling the fence, but I do feel, females have those issues monthly that can impact how they perform. And I'm not saying that we should show favoritism. I don't even think that's considered favoritism, but empathy for them having to deal with what they have to deal with. But I don't think it's right because we don't have to deal with anything like they have to deal with on that female side. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely think when they're going through their once a month PMS type of deal, that it impacts how they.
Man, I get razor bumps every 3 days. That's almost like a period. I'm sorry. Let me stop that.
Now, I think that's far from a period, bro. But
I just mess with you.
If it's a sort of a medical issue, I think it can be excused. But if there is no medical issue, and I don't think once a month period is a medical issue. That's a natural thing.
So let me ask this then. So now I know some women are more heavy bleeders than others. Mm-hmm. I know that some women may experience more cramps than others. But when women are going through their cycle, and I don't think none of us can
relate.
None of us can answer this question. But when they're going through that, do you think they just shut down and stop work?
No.
I'm not going to work.
No, they don't. But you can tell the mood is totally different.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're able to do the job and to be treated equally. Your mood, look, you may come in to work and be like, I'm not for this shit today. Your mood is totally different from the day before.
Yeah.
So should you be treated different because you're in a different kind of mood?
No.
Think about when we was in high school, the girls would come to school, put their head on the desk because they ain't feel like doing no work. Their stomach was hurting.
And all they had to do was tell the teacher what time it was, and the teacher kind of
you can't do that at work. You can tell my stomach hurt. I can't go to my boss and say, "Hey, my stomach hurt. You want to take this PTO and go home?" Or you know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but I feel if it was a female boss, they would be more understanding than a male boss to that issue.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question, and then I'm gonna ask the question, and before you guys answer, I'm gonna give an example, and then you guys can come up with other examples in your head if you choose to do so. Do y'all believe that chivalry has played a part in how we treat women differently? So let me give you an example. If I was on the bus and I was sitting down and the bus is crowded, and then K-Money, you came on the bus, there's no seat for you. You standing up right next to me. Do you think I would give you my seat?
No.
Okay. If a woman came in and the bus is crowded, and she's standing up right next to me, K-Money, do you think I would give her my seat?
Yeah, I do.
I would.
Yeah.
So, did I treat her equally like I would treat K-Money?
No. At that point, you picked and choose. How you wanted to treat in equal.
Exactly.
So, but you're kind of right, and I agree. We do have to. The reason why I feel we have to, and not necessarily saying that we have to pick and choose, but the reason why I feel like in that example where you give the woman a seat, I think it's only right. It's just being respectful because she's a woman. And they do so much, and we spoke earlier on the things that they go through body-wise that we don't go through. I think that deserves respect because they put up with so much more than we do,
but how long
in a physical form.
When you go out, they don't never say men get in free. Ever.
No, there's never.
And for years and
It's
years and
always been
years,
ladies free.
So is that equal?
No.
Okay.
But even still, now when it comes to the work field, they should be treated equally. But there are still some things in life we have to remember. It's rules.
It's the reason why I don't listen to these radio stations. I've done the average of the big prizes they give away, the Range Rovers and stuff. 84% of the time, the woman gets it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not equal. It's not equal.
You want the Range Rover.
Give it to the man sometimes.
It may be a high percentage of women that's in, participating.
Well, that's why these Houston radio stations, I don't listen to y'all for that particular reasons. If y'all need to be more equal when you giving out stuff, because equal rights, that's what we call it. Do 50-50. Don't do 84-16. You think I ain't do the percentages over a year? Yeah, I want to call them out, but I'm going to be quiet.
Now, women should be treated with respect just as well as men should. I think that it's just a much more delicate issue with women because of they bring life into the world. We don't do that. That's where the change comes in and how we treat them. That respect factor still stands there. And right now, today, in 2024, that is part of the reason why these young people are out here acting ignorant now, because they don't have respect.
So, but check it out though. We're not talking about. I get what you're saying, but we're not talking about disrespecting. This doesn't have anything to do with actually respect. This is just really truly So I asked a question before we dove into the conversation, right? I asked a question. I say, do y'all believe women should be treated equally across the board, or should we pick and choose when to treat them equally? And it sounds like, based upon the conversation, and that includes me, it sounds like we pick and choose when to treat them equally.
I have to change my response. Originally, I did say that across the board we should treat them equally, but I feel we need to pick and choose.
Yeah, it feel like we pick and choose when to treat them equally.
We've been doing that for a lifetime.
We need to pick and choose, but we kind of stuck in a situation where you kind of got us pick and choose, and it shouldn't be that way.
So let me ask you this: in that scenario Freddie G used in regards to the bus, if you didn't get up and allow a female to sit down, would you feel some type of way?
Yeah, my I ain't gonna know. It's gonna hurt me to my soul.
And that's where he was asking,
it's gonna hurt.
Has chivalry kind of,
we old school
handicapped us? Is that a correct word to use?
Well, I get what you're saying. Yeah, has chivalry played a part in how we treat?
Not only that, if it were,
female.
I know we've done this before. You've been at work. K Money, can you come over here, help me with this box? Take it to the car for me. How many times we done that? It's they work. But we go with system and take it to the.
You did it for some other reasons, though.
Yeah, trying to tap, but that's different. Let me stop. Okay.
Now, knowing what we know and what we're discussing, and I'm going to ask this question before I bring it to a close. All four of us have daughters. Do you want your daughter to be treated equally across the board? Or do you want people to pick and choose when to treat your daughter equally?
Picking and choosing doesn't sound good.
Well, it doesn't sound good,
but that's what
we're doing.
Yeah.
It may not sound good.
It don't sound good at all. Pick and choose.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound good, but it's clear when we're talking amongst ourselves, that's what we're doing. And now we all four of us have daughters. Now, do you want your daughter to be treated equally, or do you want people to pick and choose when to treat your daughter equally?
I tell you, man, I'm stumped at this one.
You ain't lying. Like I'm gonna pass.
This was a very good topic.
Pass.
I think, and I'm stumped because I'm like K Money. I'm straddling the fence on this.
Exactly.
the whole way through it, even though I feel a certain way, but I still have to come back to that fence and look at and take a second look at it, you know.
Right.
So I'm stumped.
I'm not going back to the fence. I got a headache. Pass. It's simple.
I hate to go here, but you know, you look at females in 2025 versus 30 years ago, 40 years ago. They different. You know, and I know you guys know what I mean when I'm saying they different.
They don't make them the same.
Man.
Well, see, when you say that though,
for the listeners.
No, you're fine. You know what? Let me not cut you off but go ahead and finish.
Well, no, I'm just saying that they're different. So some of them, you know, want to be like men, and for those, I feel you should treat them
like a man
accordingly. Yeah,
you want to be a man, I'm gonna treat you like a man.
Exactly, and that's equally all the way around. Not being selective to those.
That's totally equal.
But to the women that we were used to growing up around back when we were kids, where we were taught respect, it's hard for us not to, you know, be respectful to a female because again, like comedian 96 said, you know, his conscience would be fucking with him, and I think all four of us would fall in that category if we did something that we felt wasn't right. You know, it would definitely mess with our conscience.
Well, the minute you mentioned daughter, Freddie G, that's when I was
changed
like,
up the whole thing. You made me think of a story, man. I had told my daughter, and you guys already know, when I was in the 9th grade, and I told, and I still feel bad about this. I told my daughter about a fight that I had when I was in the 9th grade, and that I went in the restroom, and it was a band member, and I went in there one deep. And you know you ain't supposed to go in the restroom, no band member one deep. But I did, and I fought the dude, but they didn't jump me. I got lucky. And in her 9th grade year, she did the same exact thing I did, one deep. And it was, I got it on, she sent the video, and I felt bad. I was like, you can't do what daddy do. You can't. So it's like we can't be equal in that instance because you're a girl. You know what I mean? We can't. And I'm like, so that's why you made me, when you hit that story and I said pass, I ain't want to talk about it because in some instances, I hate to say it, no, we can't. You got to pick and choose. I hate to say it like that. I don't want to say it like that, but that's the truth.
Right.
Okay. Well, with that being said, man, I'm going to bring it to a close. And for the most part, man, it appears that women in this country have equality. It appears that way, that women in this country have equality. However, at times it seems as if the playing field is not equal. So, plain and simple, equal means being the same in quantity, size, degree, or value. Now let that marinate. This concludes another dope episode. Tune in tomorrow for Think Thursday. Don't forget to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Remember, the only way we grow is if you let them know.